Imagine this situation. You accidentally call your teacher mom, or you say the wrong word in a conversation and immediately think, why did I just say that? Or maybe you react way too strongly to something small. Freud had a fascinating explanation for moments like these. He believed our minds are like icebergs. What we're aware of, our thoughts and decisions, is just the tiny tip above the water. But underneath lies a massive hidden world of unconscious desires, fears, and memories that quietly influence everything we do. And according to Freud, that hidden world might explain more about us than we realize. The big ideas. Freud introduced Sigmund Freud was one of the most influential and controversial psychologists in history. He introduced several groundbreaking ideas about how the human mind works. Some of his most famous concepts include the unconscious mind, the id, ego, and superego, defense mechanisms, psychosexual development, Freudian slips, dream analysis. These ideas form the foundation of what we call psychoanalysis. Today, let's explore a few of the most important ones. The unconscious mind. Freud believed that much of our behavior is controlled by thoughts and feelings we are not aware of. Think of your mind like an iceberg. Only about 10% is conscious, the thoughts you're aware of, but the remaining 90% lies below the surface in the unconscious. This hidden part of the mind stores things like repressed memories, unresolved conflicts, fears and desires. Freud believed these unconscious forces often leak into our behavior. For example, you might strongly dislike someone without fully knowing why. Or you may repeatedly choose similar types of relationships that lead to the same problems. Freud believed unconscious patterns from our past often influence these choices. The id, ego, and superego. Freud also described the mind as a constant battle between three forces. The id is the most primitive part of the mind. It wants immediate pleasure and avoids pain. Think of it as the voice that says, I want this now. For example, you see a cake while dieting. Your id says, eat the whole thing. The superego. The superego represents morality and social rules. It acts like your internal critic. It says things like, that's irresponsible. You shouldn't do that. The ego. The ego acts as the mediator between the two. It tries to find a realistic balance between desire and responsibility. So in the cake situation, the id says, eat it. The superego says, absolutely not. The ego says, maybe just one slice. Freud believed much of human behavior comes from this constant negotiation. Defense mechanisms. Freud also proposed that when we experience anxiety or emotional conflict, our minds automatically use defense mechanisms to protect us. These are unconscious mental strategies that reduce psychological stress. Some common examples include denial, refusing to accept reality. Example, someone ignoring clear signs that a relationship is ending. Projection, attributing your own unwanted feelings to someone else. Example, a person who feels jealous accusing others of jealousy. Rationalization, creating logical explanations to justify behavior. Example, failing an exam and saying, the test was unfair anyway. These defense mechanisms help protect our sense of self, even if they sometimes distort reality. Freudian slips. Freud believed that small mistakes in speech, sometimes called Freudian slips, reveal hidden thoughts. For example, calling your partner by your ex's name or accidentally revealing something you meant to keep private. Freud argued that these slips occur when unconscious thoughts briefly break through into conscious speech. What Freud thought about dreams. Freud also believed dreams were windows into the unconscious mind. According to him, dreams contain symbolic representations of hidden desires or conflicts. For example, a dream about being chased might represent anxiety. A dream about falling might reflect feelings of losing control. Freud believed that analyzing dreams could help uncover unconscious emotions and experiences. What therapy looked like in Freud's approach. Freud developed a method of therapy called psychoanalysis. In traditional psychoanalysis, a patient would often lie on a couch and talk freely about their thoughts, memories, and dreams. The therapist's role was to help uncover unconscious patterns that might be influencing behavior. Some techniques included free association. The patient says whatever comes to mind without filtering their thoughts. This can reveal hidden emotional connections. Dream interpretation. Exploring the symbolic meaning behind dreams. Exploring childhood experiences. Freud believed many adult struggles originate from early childhood conflicts. The goal of therapy was to bring unconscious issues into awareness so people could understand and resolve them. A quick look at the history. Now, it's important to mention something. I know some of these ideas might sound controversial or unusual today, and that's partly because Freud developed his theories over 100 years ago, in the late 1800s and early 1900s. At that time, psychology was still a very new field. Freud was one of the first people to seriously explore the idea that unconscious forces shape human behavior. Many of his ideas have been debated, criticized, and revised by later psychologists. But his influence on psychology, therapy, and even popular culture is enormous. Even today, many psychological concepts we use come from Freud's work. Ideas like unconscious motivation, defense mechanisms, childhood influences on personality. These concepts continue to appear in modern psychology. However, modern research has also developed many new approaches to understanding the mind. Freud's theories remind us of something important. Human beings are deeply complex. Our actions are shaped by memories, emotions, culture, biology, and experiences we may not even be aware of. Freud tried to explain this complexity with one powerful framework. But psychology has continued evolving. Today, we have many different perspectives, from behavioral psychology to neuroscience to cognitive psychology. Because the truth is, no single theory can fully explain the human mind. Understanding ourselves is an ongoing journey, and the more perspectives we explore, the closer we get to understanding what makes us human. Subscribe to Psychology in Minutes for more.